Hello FPL managers and welcome back for another video. My name's Jack and today we're going over the best Salah and Haaland drafts for game week 1. I've got 3 different drafts here which I like as the 3 best Salah and Haaland game week 1 teams. If you guys are new to the channel or are looking forward to game week 1 of FPL, as always, click the like button and subscribe. Have notification bells turned on so you don't miss any future videos in the build up to game week 1. With that being said, let's jump into the video. So let's take a look at the first double premium draft here. This one's a 3-4-3 formation. All 3 teams here have different formations. I like this 3-4-3 team. I do like the 4-4-2 team the best. I will discuss that in a couple of drafts time. First of all, looking at this 3-4-3 side, there's obviously no Trent in the team as it's very hard to have Haaland, Salah and Trent in there. So I've gone with Robertson. He's coming in at £1.5 million cheaper than Trent. I think this is a really good price point for Robertson when you compare him to Trent. Should have similar numbers for compared to Trent this season. I think Liverpool's defensive strength should increase as well this year. It was a little bit down last season, so I like Robertson there to capitalise on that Liverpool defence. And Botman and Estupiñán, other 2 starting defenders. Pickford's in goals. I like him at 4.5. Everton have some excellent starting fixtures under Sean Dyche. Their defence should be somewhat stronger, so I like Pickford there. Fulham at home, game week 1. A really good fixture for him. Botman there as well against Aston Villa at home. He's a very popular 4.5 defender. Over a 30% ownership currently for Botman and 50% for Estupiñán. So 2 fairly popular defenders. Both of those guys are in the team. The midfield for this side is very, very strong. Saka, Salah, Matoma and Maddison. Obviously Salah and Haaland being the 2 players that are locked into every draft. Saka, one of the most popular options in FPL right now. He's only behind Haaland for ownership. Matoma also a very, very popular midfielder. And I really like Maddison here at £7.5 million. I've said in previous videos that I think he could have a breakout season, put up double digits in both goals and assists, could even record 15 assists this season for Tottenham. I think with Son and Kane up top, he's going to be giving them so much service that he's just going to flourish in this Tottenham team. We've seen Christian Eriksen and Cam do very, very well for Tottenham in the past, and I think Maddison can put up similar to numbers to what Eriksen was putting up. Could see 180 plus point season for James Maddison here, so I think he's going to be a really, really good asset for the midfielders. And as the 3 forwards here, I've gone with Nkunku, Wissa and Haaland. Mitrovic could be an interesting pick as well. He's potentially linked with a move away from Fulham. We'll have to see how that transfer news played out, but if Mitrovic is at £7.5 million, you could definitely have him in place of Nkunku if he does stay at Fulham. And I really do like Wissa as well at £6 million. There's no Mbeumo in this midfield, so to capitalise on the Brentford attack, Wissa at £6 million, he should be the starting striker for Brentford this season. They have some great fixtures to start the new year as well, so I think Wissa at £6 million, a fairly decent price for him. And looking at the bench, Areola's there, Bell and Henry are the 2 backup defenders. A fairly strong bench as well, having Henry there. He can alternate with Botman quite nicely, as those 4.5 defenders, and then you can have any 4.5 mil mid in the game, and that does use up the full £100 million budget. Let's have a look at the 4-4-2 draft. This is currently my favourite draft out of the 3 for the double premiums team. This one has Salah, it has Haaland, it has Jesus in there as well, who's the 2nd most popular forward. Still has Saka in there and still has Rashford in there as well. So it's an extremely stacked midfield and full line and an extremely stacked starting 11. It has all the highest owned players in the game. You still have Salah in there as well. So I think this team doesn't really lack in too many areas despite still spending a big money on those double premiums. Let's have a look at the defense first. Pickford does remain as the goalkeeper. You could go, there's a couple of other good 4.5 options. Maybe you could go for the Brentford option at 4.5, but Pickford here, still my favourite 4.5 keeper. As I've said, Everton have some excellent fixtures to start the new season, so I think Pickford could definitely pick up a couple of clean sheets early, especially with Fulham at home game week 1. With Mitrovic potentially linked with a move away from Fulham, their attacking strength could be significantly reduced coming into this season, so it's a good chance for an Everton clean sheet in game week 1. Looking at the defenders, you've got the Arsenal defence ticked off there with Gabriel. I think it is good to have an Arsenal defender in there considering how good Arsenal's defence were last season and considering how good their fixtures are for the new year. So Gabriel at £5 million, a fairly good pick there. I like Reece James at 5.5. Looking at those Chelsea fixtures, I do think they're a little bit better than Liverpool Liverpool's from a defensive standpoint. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea can match Liverpool for clean sheets over the first 5 to 6 game weeks. Plus, Reece James, as we know, is a very attacking fullback, similar to Trent in the way that he can push up the pitch, and when he's at his best, he is a very, very good FPL point scorer. Of course, Chelsea with the new manager as well, hopefully they can utilise their fullbacks well as they have done in the past with Reece James and Ben Chilwell getting up, providing a very good attacking threat for them. And then you've got Purvis Estupiñán there as well. He's a really good pick at 5 mil for Brighton. And Rico Henry does remain in the team at 4.5. I think he's really, really good 4.5 defender. Personally, I do think he's better than Botman at 4.5. He's got way more attacking potential than Botman. And Brentford's starting fixtures I do like a lot more than Newcastle's. So I think Henry is going to have a bit more utility earlier on in the season. You're going to be able to start him in most game weeks in the first 5. And then looking to the midfield, it's an absolutely stacked starting 4 midfield. Saka, Salah, Matoma, Rashford, an extremely strong batch of 4 players there. I think whilst also having Rashford and Saka in is a huge advantage, because a lot of teams that do have Salah and Haaland can't quite get those other popular midfielders, and you could really be hurt in rank by the likes of Rashford or Saka if you don't have him in. The only player in this team that can really hurt the rank is Trent. His ownership's only 33% compared to Rashford with 40 and Saka with 50. So I think having the team set up this way is probably the safest way. You can cover yourself from not having players with a high ownership. Jesus is also in there as well. He's a very popular forward. Jesus is obviously a player that this draft has that the 3-4-3 team doesn't have. So I think you have that extra protection there by having Gabby Jesus in. Ariol's the sub-keeper. Bell is the 4.0 defender. He will be playing for Luton. The bench is fairly weak, to be fair, in this team. Archer's there at 4.5. This could be any 4.5 forward of your choosing. And the 4.5 mid as well. There's not too many standard options right now. You can maybe go for Vlasic from West Ham, but I'm not sure about his starting minutes. We'll have to see what those are like. Obviously, Rice departing that West Ham midfield. Maybe he could step in there, but it will be a big if. So right now, Bell is really the only defender or only player on the bench that could come in and rotate with anyone in your starting 11. But right now, looking at this team, I wouldn't be looking to rotate too many of these players in any given game week. The only one that I'd be happy to rotate in and out of the team will be Rico Henry. Otherwise, you can pretty much start Gabriel, Reece James, Estupiñán, Saka, Salah, Matoma, Rashford, Jesus, Haaland every single game week for the first 5 to 10 weeks. They're that good of players, and they've got that good of fixtures for you to be able to do so. Of course, you're going to have a wild card as well. You can easily wild card if you want to go for a better bench later on in the season, maybe 10 weeks in. Of course, you do have transfers as well, and by having double premiums, you have a lot of flexibility with your transfers. It's a lot easier to downgrade Salah and then upgrade another player rather than going the other way and trying to upgrade someone up to Salah. It's going to require a lot of rearranging your team. You're going to have to make a lot more downgrades to go up to Salah rather than having Salah in already, downgrading him, and then you can easily afford any other player in your team. So I do really, really like this 4-4-2 draft. This one's also coming in at £100 million. Finally, let's have a look at a 3-5-2 draft. This is a very popular formation that managers are choosing to go for at the start of the season. Let's have a look how it plays out with both Salah and Haaland in the team. Currently, it's a similar goalkeeper and backline. Pickford with Estupiñán, Gabriel and Botman. A fairly strong back 4 players there. Obviously, no Liverpool defenders is the key point in this team. You've got Bell and Henry as your sub-defenders. So a very, very good bench there. Definitely a lot of flexibility. You can easily rotate Henry, Bell and Botman as that bench and that defender slot, should I say. Obviously with Andreas in the midfield here, as you can see, you can rotate him with Rico Henry or Bell depending on fixtures. But Andreas at 5.5 I think is actually a decent pick. Obviously a lot of people had him last season at 4.5 mil, but he still put up some really good underlying numbers, an XG of over 7, which is fairly decent for a player of his price. Definitely one of the highest figures for 5.5 midfielders. Put up double digits for assists last season, which is extremely good for a player of £5.5 million. And you never know, if Mitrovic does go out of the team, you could see Andreas take penalties. He is currently on set pieces for Fulham as well, which definitely does help the cause that he could maybe be a penalty taker shout. We'll have to see how that plays out though. 2 good fixtures for Fulham to start the season. Everton away, then Brentford at home. 2 solid fixtures from an attacking perspective, especially. So I think Andreas at 5.5, definitely not the worst option. And of course, you can always rotate him between Henry, and Andreas or maybe even Bell there, depending on fixtures, so a bit of flexibility there. Otherwise, looking at the rest of the midfield, a very, very strong midfield. Saka, Salah, Matoma, Rashford, the 4 other midfielders there. Still Jesus and Haaland as the front 2. So this team is also very good. It's probably got a little bit more bench depth than the 4-4-2 side, but you do have Andreas there in the midfield as well at 5.5 mil. So a bit more well-rounded team. It's going to be interesting to see how managers choose to play this one. I think a 3-5-2, a much more popular formation than a 4-4-2 to start the season. I would say a 2-forward formation is the way to go. I'm not a massive fan of a 3-4-3 right now or a 4-3-3. I think there's too many good midfielders to have in your teams to have just to use 3 forwards. I think it's good to go for a 4.5 forward, maximize the midfield and defense this year. Jesus and Haaland, definitely the 2 standout forwards right now. And Kunku, definitely not a bad pick at 7.5. Neither is Watkins or Mitrovic, but I think going for those 5 starting midfielders or 4 starting midfielders at least is going to be the way forward for the start of this season. Thanks for watching today's best Salah and Haaland drafts for Game Week 1 of FPL. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. As always, have those notification bells turned on so you don't miss any future videos in the build up to Game Week 1. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.